Hello, my dear fourth graders. Mrs. Wilson here, coming to you with another writing lesson. So last time we talked about conclusions and how to make conclusions, and today I want to talk to you about how to create your glossary. When you create your glossary, you're going to need to go through several steps. One of the steps, the first step that I really did, was going through each of my chapters and looking for all of those words that way in the beginning of our writing of the books, the informational books. We kind of came up with a few words, a list of words that you're going to be using within your chapters that were important to your topic. I didn't quite do that as I started my books, so I did with a couple of the words, but as I developed my chapters, there's a few other words that I didn't have in bold print. I hadn't included yet in that list. So the first thing that I did was I went through every single chapter in my book and made all of the words, highlighted the words, made them bold, the words that were important for my reader to know what they meant. And they didn't necessarily have to be words that were content specific. There were some of the hard college words that I know my reader would need to know in order for them to completely understand what they are. So next I'm going to show you how to go through each of your chapters. I'll show you the highlighted words that I had put in bold print to signify that those are words that will be in my glossary. And then I'll show you right after that how the very next step is for you to go through all of those words and make sure that they're alphabetized, because your glossary has to be alphabetized. Just like a dictionary is alphabetized, your glossary has to be alphabetized so that your reader has an easier time finding the words and getting definitions as they're reading the books. Okay? Enjoy. So in my chapter 1, which is called What is Baba Marta, I have the first word bolded is Baba Marta, and that is a word that my reader would definitely need to know. Pijo, Panda is another one, Martinizzi, and those are the only ones that I have made bold within the first chapter. Now within the chapter, as you can tell, I have also put a little definition in there. I will make sure that in my glossary I use that very same definition, but I'll show you also another trick on how to copy and paste from dictionary.com next, so watch that. In my chapter 2, I did the many legends. The first word bolded is legend. My reader will definitely need to know what legend is in order for them to understand what all of the stories shared in this chapter are about. Proto-Bulgarian, Khan, Slavs, and that is it within that chapter as well. As you can tell, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be a few words. Just think of words that would be good for your reader to know as they are reading. Chapter 3, how to make the Martinizzi. On here I have mount highlighted, excess, and that is it within that chapter as well. And my final chapter, chapter 4, is making a good wish. Forecasting is one, fastened is another, prognosis is another, enthused is another one in that chapter, and that is it. That completes my list. Go ahead, I will show you next how I went through and did. Next, I want to show you how I did my dictionary.com definitions from, to my glossary. It's a lot easier to do it that way. If you're not typing up your paper and you're handwriting it, you might just want to use the Webster dictionaries. Just make sure that you include dictionary.com or Webster dictionary in your bibliography at the end. Give them credit, the people who actually wrote the dictionaries and went through those definitions. That's a resource that you used, so just stick it in your bibliography in there. Okay. All right, so here's how I got my little pronunciation box to come up right after the word itself. So when I went to dictionary.com, in the box where it says right next to dictionary.com, and then it has that little search button, that little magnifying glass, Right in that box, I typed my word, which my word was legend. Next, I clicked on the search button, and underneath it showed me several definitions of the word legend. Right behind the word, you've got, in those brackets, you've got the pronunciation. So what I did was I highlighted that part of it, and then I right-clicked on it, and then I hovered over copy, and I pressed copy. Then I went to my document, and on my document, I started, in the very center top, I titled the page glossary. Right underneath, I had typed up the word legend. So all I had to do was right next to the word legend, put my cursor on it, right-click on that, and then I hovered over paste. Once I had paste highlighted, then I clicked on paste, and voila, you have your pronunciation on there. The very same thing you have to do with your definition. So I went back to dictionary.com page. I looked at all of those definitions, and the one that fit the use in my chapter was the very first one. So what I did is I highlighted the words right next to one. You don't need the number one. So I highlighted those words, I right-clicked on them, and I went to copy. The very same thing that I did with the pronunciation box. Then I went to my document, put my cursor wherever I wanted the words to copy, and I right-clicked and hovered over paste. Once I pasted, voila, you have your definition on there as well. That's what you have to do with all of your guys' words. Basically, go back and forth. And what I ended up doing is I just copied and pasted all of the words and the definitions, and then I just moved them around to make them in alphabetical order. All right, my dear fourth graders, now it is your turn. Hopefully you got an idea of how to do your glossary from my lesson. I hope that it was helpful showing you all of the little steps on how to get it from dictionary.com and have that little pronunciation at the end right after the word, because it helps your reader having that, especially with the Bulgarian words, Baba Marta. It helps having that pronunciation in there so that they have a clue as to how to pronounce it. So now it is your turn. Go ahead, go through your chapters. Make sure that you bold all of the words that you think are important for your reader to know. It could be some of the words that were new to you from doing your research. It could be, content-specific words. It depends on your topic. Go through, make sure you have a list of your words. Once you have a list of your words, you want to go through and make sure that you have all of the definitions. Rather you get them from dictionary.com or you get them from the Webster dictionaries in your classroom. That's up to you. And make sure that your list is alphabetized. That way it's just like the dictionary, making it a little bit easier for your reader to find the definitions. Good luck, have fun, and happy writing.